her 9000's game room.
Okay, excuse the pink Hugh Hefner sheets. What you have before you is obviously a cardboard box. Now, it's, as you can see, I've torn the label off the top. All that said was my address and the address of where it come from and that. And obviously don't want to get flashing my address about online. So let's undo it. Okay. Yep. And here we go. Alright, so first things first, in the top, here's a HDMI cable, 1.8 meters long. Decent. Let's just get some of this out. Yep, laptop type power supply. Don't feel great, but if it does the job, it'll be alright. The cat will need to go in that laptop power supply. And what do we have here? Monitor cable. So you can obviously plug this up to a PC style monitor. Let's take this out of the way and... Oof. Oh yeah, that's... Okay, this is wedged in here a little bit. Excuse me. Yep. Get this bad boy out. Apologies for any of the dizziness caused there. Yep, it looks nice. Nice picture of Ryu on it. Street Fighter 4. Yep, stick feels good. I like the buttons. Yep. Yep. Okay, now let's have a look around it. Oh yeah, a vent underneath it and some sticky legs. Okay, and some ports. Let's see what we have here. Oh yeah. Your VJ port, headphone port, volume control USB ports. Yep. An old style PC like printer-esque thing, a power switch. Yep, that all looks to be in order. So technically this is my second Pandora's box style joystick. The first one I got was a double one, and I got it second hand from a pawn store for £75. This one is only a one stick and it's cost me £40. The original one I got apparently has 1,000 games on it. It actually has 997 games, but then if you were to take out the duplicates and the slight changed ones, I don't know, 600 we'll say. This thing claims to have 2,700 odd. But again, if you take out the duplicates, it's nowhere near that high. This one's also a little bit interesting in that it isn't just arcade games. I've seen Mega Drive games on it and a SNES game. But, you know, it's interesting. Yeah, somebody's going to tell me that this isn't a real Pandora's box, it's a counterfeit. And yeah, it probably is looking at it. It says when it loads up that it's a Pandora's Box 9 SE something. But I think most of these things really are counterfeit. And let's face it, when they're a joystick full of arcade games with no rights being paid, what is truly genuine? Still, I've found it a hell of an interesting thing to tinker with. I've had a great laugh playing a lot of WrestleFest on this. I've also played some Tekken 3. Mostly the games seem to run fantastic. The only thing I played that didn't run entirely as well as I'd like was Mortal Kombat, which to be honest felt a little bit choppy, but it's a long time since I've played the original arcade version of Mortal Kombat, so maybe the game itself's just choppy. I'm more used to playing the more recent Mortal Kombats, which obviously, you know, are smooth as anything. But no, I'm a fan of these things. I think they're great. You can jump on them, play a bit like Simpsons Arcade, WrestleFest, Alien vs Predator, some Street Fighter. I mean, there are some drawbacks to this one just having one stick, but I only really got this one as a little bit of a tinker project. I suppose the real appeal of these things to me is that when I was growing up, I played a lot of arcade games. I went to the seaside and it was absolutely full of arcade games. You play a bit of Final Fight, a bit of Pac-Land. And games in the home at the time were never quite at that level. I used to own an arcade cabinet when I had my own house, but I unfortunately had to leave it behind. And I suppose getting something like this is a little bit of a sorry present to myself. And I do think, you know, if I ever had the time and a bit of spare room, you could drop one of these into a little bit of a shelf, put a monitor behind it. You could construct a cab out of it, and it wouldn't cost a lot. And obviously, if I had, I mean, when I had an arcade machine, I swapped the jammer board out for a Neo Geo, and I managed to collect 8 cartridges. And if I went in the back of it, you could slowly slot in one after the other. This, thousands of games just sat there, and you pick from a menu. And from what I can tell with most of them, once they're up and running, you wouldn't really know the difference. It's a pretty awesome thing to have sat in front of you. It's like being able to revisit an 80s arcade without even standing up. Some people would say, yeah, you're playing a load of games that aren't official, nobody's been paid the rights for these, but a lot of them, nobody's actually given a monkeys about trying to let people play them for the last 20 years. So, why should I care? I'm sure I'll get grief over that, but that's just how I feel. You know, we've all invested loads and loads of money in virtual stuff that could be pulled down at any point. You've pummeled money into arcade machines that have then disappeared. There's plenty of people out there, for example like Pat the NES Punk, who will tell you how it's scumbag seller of the week and everyone's evil and how dare we steal people's intellectual property, and life's too short. If I want to play Alien vs Predator, I'm going to play it. Let's admit it, before Capcom was bringing out this arcade board thing they've done recently, a lot of this stuff had never even been given a second thought by any of these companies. So, rather than have a guilt trip, I'm going to go off and play more WrestleFest. Okay, this is Kerr9000 signing off. Have a great day. Keep on gaming.